everybody. This is Brother Elihu coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm on my balcony, just enjoying getting a little of this vitamin D from the sun. I want to talk to you today about three of the seven hermetic laws. That's the law of polarity, the law of opposites, and the law of correspondence. And they deal with balance. Okay? All of life is comprised of what we call matter, all right? And the basic definition of matter is just things that you can see and touch, things that are physical, all right? Things that we know as being manifest, okay? And matter is comprised of elements, okay? And to go back to fifth grade science class, you had a chart, and that chart was known as the periodic table of elements. Okay, and the table starts with gases and it ends with hard substances, the hardest substances that are known to man, things like titanium and diamonds. But at the beginning, you have hydrogen and oxygen gases, and then it transitioned into plasmas and protoplast type substances. And then you get into soft metals like aluminum, mercury, things like that. And then you get into your harder metals, okay? Lead, steel, things like that, all the way up to the most hardest, okay? But each element has a makeup of atoms, okay? And we call that an atomic number, okay? And it's the number of atoms that give each one of these elements its unique form, okay? Now, the atom is the most beautiful thing in life, okay? It represents so many things, okay? Our universe is structured the same way of an atom, with the sun being the center point and the planets evolving around it, okay? It's a very interesting construct, the atom. But the atom is comprised of three elements. You have the positive element, which is known as the proton, and then you have the negative element known as the electron, okay? But there's a third element, and the third element is the element that's most important because it balances the atom, and it's known as a neutron, okay? And without the neutron present, the atom is unstable, okay? An unstable atom is very, very destructive, okay? It's what we call nuclear fission, okay? When atoms collide into one another, once you remove the third element known as the neutron, they become unstable and they can cause major damage, all right? Well, the human body, again, atoms comprise all that we know of as matter. It's one of the basic elements of matter. Then you can get into ethers, but we're going to deal today with the atom, okay? Now, the human body and your mind and your spirit as well has the same concept at work, okay? You have at your brain, you have a left hemisphere of the brain, you have a right hemisphere of the brain. And then you have the balancing element known as the center lobe, the neocortex or the third eye, okay? Once you can balance the left and right hemispheres of your brain, you can then awaken this third element known as the neocortex or third eye. And that's when you take on a whole nother level of consciousness, all right? Some of you are familiar with the movie known as The Matrix. Well, the lead character is not named Neo by coincidence, okay? Neo is the name given to him because he had mastered self. He had mastered the left and right hemispheres of his brain and awakened his third eye, which awakened the God-likeness in him, where he's able to do all the things that he does in the movies, okay? Well, you also have in Freemasonry in the temple, which the temples in Freemasonry are representative of the human body as well. Also, temples in ancient Egypt was a representation of the human body as well. In alchemy, okay, al-khemi, which means the black science, all right? That also represents balancing out certain elements of the body. You get certain elements given to you in alchemy, such as sulfur, mercury, things of these nature. And the key is to try these elements by fire and purify them. Well, these elements mentioned in alchemy are attributes of the human self, okay? And being tried by fire to purify them is you going through struggle, okay? And through struggle, you're able, if you apply the principles of alchemy when you in your everyday life, okay, you will purify yourself and overcome your adversities through your struggles, and you'll come out of them with gaining some kind of, you know, greater knowledge and helping better yourself, all right? In Freemasonry, okay, that's all representative of paired opposites, all right? The floor of the lodge is black and white for a reason. That represents paired opposites, black and white, okay? But the floor also represents your base consciousness, the lower self, all right? The part of you that has desires, the part of you that is animalistic, okay? The part of you that loves this world right here, the physical things of this world, the selfish part of you, the part of you that harms, the part of you that lusts, those type of characteristics, okay? And that's why the floor of the lodge is black and white. It represents base consciousness, and again, the key is to balance out this, all right? In the entrance of the lodge in Freemasonry, you're met with two pillars, okay? Those pillars have a name. They're known as Yakim and Boaz, all right? One represents severity and one represents mercy. And again, the key is to balance out these two elements, okay? Not to be too severe and not too merciful, okay? Once you enter into the front of the lodge, you also come into what's known as the porch, all right? And behind the porch is known as the inner chamber, okay? And in back of the inner chamber, you have another room. And that room is a smaller room, but it's the most important room of the temple. It's known as the Holy of Holies, okay? Now, the temple in Freemasonry and the temples in ancient Egypt are a depiction of the human body. And in Freemasonry, the lodge represents the female organ known as the vagina, all right? The pillars of the lodge, Yakim and Boaz, represents the labia or the lips of the vagina, okay? Then you go into the porch, then you go into the inner chamber, all right? But some of you brothers that, you know, if you're endowed the right way and if you know how to lay it down properly, you know about hitting bottom. Well, that bottom is known as the Holy of Holies, all right? And Dr. Ben said that heaven is between the black woman's legs. And that's not being facetious or insultive. What he was saying is the vagina is a representation of the temple, okay? And when you can hit the bottom, or when you can get into the Holy of Holies, he said that's the closest thing you get to touching God, all right? And brothers can attest to that. You sisters may not. I don't know what you feel when we in the Holy of Holies, but to a brother, it's an awesome experience. I guarantee you that. All right. This is just some little basic introduction into duality and paired opposites. If you enjoy this little brief introduction, I'll drop some more on you. I'll go into, you know, more deeper things along with you. And let's say if I get, let's say 10 people that like it, I'll go ahead and do a part 2 to this, and we'll just keep going on and on and on, all right, into deeper and deeper things. I enjoyed speaking with you. This is Brother Elihu from Baltimore, Maryland. Have a blessed day. Stay strong, black people. Strong, I say.